Okay. Okay, we are starting to let people into this program. So we're going to wait just a few minutes. Thank you all for joining me today. I am very excited about this particular program, and I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. So hopefully everybody can see my screen. And if you can't, you can leave a quick message on in the chat box, and we can go from there. I'm gonna move. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So obviously this presentation is about our signature weight loss programs and really helping you understand how to jumpstart your metabolism. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sherry Stoka, and I am going to talk, what I really wanted to do for this presentation, because I'm doing different topics all the time, but I really wanted to hone in on our specific weight loss programs and really help you understand why ours are so different and how they really can jumpstart your metabolism and really heal the body at the same time. So that's kind of the intention for today. I will also touch briefly on two very important foundational pieces to wellness that obviously play a big role in long-term weight loss. So let's go ahead and get started. So basically, we have two main signature fat loss programs. And what I will tell you is that they are the most effective weight loss programs today. We have been in business for about 6 years now. We have had thousands of patients go through our programs. We now have copyrights and licenses on our programs, and we train other practices because we put very specific protocols together for our programs. We now have online programs, as you know, so we have virtual programs, or again, you can come on site to our locations in Brookfield and Kenosha. So our signature fat loss program options are HCG, which most people are very familiar with by now. And a couple of years ago, we developed another program called HCA Lean. And we did this because we wanted an alternative to HCG. We knew HCG worked very, very well because it had a very unique way of really burning abnormal fat in the body. So again, HCG is not for everyone. So we wanted to develop a new program. And this is where HCA Lean comes in. So just to kind of highlight some of the important pieces to the programs, HCG resets the hypothalamus so the body can recognize and burn abnormal fats. Abnormal fat stores. We're going to talk more about this, but I am talking about this all the time, but this is very, very important to understand that there's different types of fat stores in our body. And it's really being able to mobilize those resistant fat stores. Hunger is suppressed during this specific plan, even though it's a restricted calorie diet, because you're releasing the fat stores into circulation to be used for energy, and all fat is stored calories. You will not burn or use up muscle mass while on this program if you follow it. HCG is a pro-hormone. So it actually can balance out other hormones. So for instance, our men who are on this program do very, very well because most men who are overweight have low testosterone. So HCG can help increase that testosterone, and it is not only makes them lose weight, but they feel so good while on this program. HCG is administered by daily injections, as most people know. Recently the FDA basically banned the tablets and the sublingual drops of HCG. So those are no longer available. And if you do find them, they're probably fake products because, like I said, it's been banned from the market. So our HCA Lean program, again, I developed about 2 years ago. And again, the whole purpose of this was to mobilize those abnormal fat stores. Hunger is suppressed. You must follow the very specific meal plan, which is identical to the HCG diet. It spares muscle. And instead of the injections, you would be doing 3 different supplements that work synergistically to really help the whole process along. So our programs address root issues. So when we're developing our programs, the whole intention is to really heal the body so that weight loss can be more long-term. So we strive with all of our programs to improve your metabolism, decrease that visceral fat, which again is that deeper belly fat that lines the vital organs. That is very, very difficult to lose. You will sustain muscle mass. Our programs are designed to decrease inflammation, improve hormone balance, increase your energy, and reduce gut and digestive issues. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of our genetics and the gut, and really how these pieces play such an important role in not only weight loss, but just overall health. And I will talk briefly about genetics. I know I spent a lot more time in the last webinar talking about this, but I'm going to highlight, some of the main pieces to this. So it really helps you understand how that can really help you get past that struggle, that threshold that you've been trying to get past for so long. So the key is to align your strategies that you try every day, for weight loss with your genetics. So that means knowing, what type of diet should you be eating, what supplements should you be taking, and what type of exercise should you be doing. We're going to talk more about it, but that's kind of just the general overview. We also have to look at the gut and rebalance and repair if there are significant gut issues. Because if there are gut issues, there's going to be inflammation, there's going to be hormone imbalances. You're not going to be absorbing and utilizing nutrients appropriately. So really the goal in order for weight loss to really start coming off the way that you would like it to, we really have to rebalance the gut. So just a quick slide and getting us all on a level playing field about the gut, because again, and I will talk about this till as long as I am involved in this business, because it is so important. So if you look at the image to the left, you see this is your digestive tract. Okay, it actually starts in your mouth, and then goes to the rectum. But within the digestive tract is this ecosystem of many different types of organisms, bacteria, viruses, fungus, you name it, it is an ecosystem that lives within us. And so there are very specific organisms that live in specific areas of the digestive tract. And it resides there because of the environment. So, there are environments that are more acidic. There are environments that are more alkaline. So again, it's creating this balance in that entire digestive tract. So what happens over time is there is this disruption of this ecosystem. These organisms become either they're killed off, they overgrow, and there is this war going on in our gut. And what causes that is many different things. So as you can imagine, probably just one thing isn't going to destroy this balance in our body, but we live in a time where we're bombarded with so many things that affect our gut health. And, stress is a big one. Medication, namely antibiotics or, acid reflux medication, omeprazole. So many patients come in on that medication, and it's probably one of the first things where we're like honing in. and want to do what we can to get them off of that as soon as possible. As you get older, your ecosystem changes, your diet. Let's be honest, we're not eating whole foods anymore. We're eating processed foods. Processed foods are fake foods. So the body is having a really hard time processing and really handling the load because it's not used to, chemicals and additives and preservatives and things like that. So all of these things are very, very important. And then of course, our genetics play a very important role because obviously you're going to get what not only your parents, but your ancestors as well. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of what, this ecosystem or this microbiome or the gut all means. So we use the term dysbiosis, and dysbiosis means just this imbalance of organisms in your gut. And again, like I had just mentioned, it's, there's many things that could cause this, but really we need to figure out the severity of it. And is it really impacting your health so much where we need to do something about it? Oh, and I did want to mention, because I did mention these, of course, stress, sleep, certain activities, even extreme exercise can have an impact on your gut, but also food poisoning. What people, will have an insult of food poisoning, they'll go on vacation and a couple of days they won't feel well. But I will tell you, that insult to the gut could be long lasting. And so really pay attention to that if you are one of those people who've had food poisoning and now, you kind of haven't felt the same since then, it's because it really created a massive imbalance in your gut. So when we're working with our patients, of course, I'm honing in on the gut. Of course, I want to help them lose weight and get to their goals. But unless we're digging deeper and helping, them identify what those foundational issues are, they really can't get to that optimal goal. So we do many different tests, and I'm going to take you through. Actually, this is my personal test, and the reason why I am very passionate about gut health is because my entire life I have had gut issues. And so it has put me into a place of like obsession almost, because I have gone to, I can't even tell you how many doctors I have seen, for my gut issues. And I would always leave there with, everything looks perfect, go on, take Miralax, you'll be fine, take laxatives. It's like, it just like drove me nuts. So, that's why we really have brought it into this practice. And again, it's helped so many people, but I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. I hope it helps you understand what we really can identify. And you don't even need to be someone who has massive gut issues, because it's not all digestive. Gut issues can be acne, food sensitivities, they can be brain fog, cognitive issues. So just always remember that it's not just the digestive things that are going on. So what we're looking at is we're looking at pathogens. Bacterial pathogens are disease-causing pathogens. So anything that is elevated, that's a problem. So in my particular test, I did have some pathogens. They weren't flagged red, so they were there, but that's why you have to look at the whole picture, because you have to identify, okay, are these pathogens that are kind of like passing through, or are they staying there and causing harm? And so then we also look at parasitic pathogens. For me, this Giardia was pretty elevated, even though it wasn't red, it was very much on the high side. So that was causing a lot of issues for me. Then what we also can identify in our GI testing is, what are the healthy bacteria? Because if you have a lot or enough of the really healthy organisms, that's going to help defend, and your immune system will be stronger and fight against the things that are constantly coming in. So I did have good normal bacterial flora. I did have elevated, what this one is, Akkermansia, which is actually a very, very, very beneficial bacterial strain. And this one is highly correlated with weight and metabolism. So for me, like, I was happy to see that, because that showed, basically demonstrated that, I was on the side of, I was more prone to managing my weight versus gaining weight. So then what this test will also look at is opportunistic bacteria. So there's certain strains of bacteria that within normal levels, it's fine, doesn't cause any harm. It's there, it's living there. It's like your neighbor that, it's not your best friend, but they're there and they don't cause any harm. But all of a sudden, someone comes into the neighborhood and causes all this disruption. So now they turn bad. And so that's essentially what's happening in this ecosystem. So because I had that insult of Giardia, now that allowed other bacterial strains to grow out of control. So this was clearly, and again, I'm not going to go into detail, but the way that I read these, I know that these are elevated because of that. What's really awesome about this test too is there are specific strains that are correlated with autoimmune disorders. And so you can imagine autoimmune disease, it's like, it's just as prevalent as the obesity pandemic. Everyone has autoimmunity now, and autoimmunity starts in the gut. So for me, I had a strain that was quite elevated. I do have autoimmune. I have Hashimoto's. So that's something that well, this was a while ago, but I'm much in a much better place now. Looks at fungus and yeast. A lot of people who have sugar cravings, a lot of people who have fatigue have very elevated fungus and yeast levels. Viruses, I did not have any viruses. Parasites, so I didn't have any of these protozoa type of parasites. I did not have any worms, thank God. And then this is another really amazing part to the test, is looking at the actual intestinal health. How are you digesting your food? Not only how are you digesting your food, are you absorbing your food, and is there damage to the intestines? So for me, in my digestion, steatocrit is looking at fat malabsorption. So I was below the 15%, but I knew that I was malabsorbing because I knew my gut, it was inflamed. Elastase is looking at your pancreatic enzymes, because when you have a compromised gut, you're not digesting food very well. So your enzymes are going to overproduce to try to compensate for what your body is not doing. So now, I need to support my gut health with enzymes, and that helps a lot just with, symptoms when I eat. And over time, obviously, I'm hoping to repair this, and I won't have to take the enzymes. But this is where you can be so personalized and so strategic with your own personal health. And this section here, looking at blood in the stool, so I was 0 for that. That was good. And then I know, I have autoimmune disease. And so this is showing that my secretory IgA, or my immune system, is sluggish. And so my immune system is sluggish because it's fighting all of those other invaders that are residing. So that did not surprise me either. And the really cool thing is, again, there's so many things that you can do to support your immune system, because ultimately the goal is, obviously, if you need to, you got to go after and get rid of the really parasitic or pathogenic organisms, because then your immune system will start to flourish again and get to a place where you can be in better balance, basically. So hopefully that makes sense. I mean, we do this test all day. It's mind blowing, for people when they can see the things that are going on and how they feel once they go through a treatment plan. But I also wanted to touch briefly on our genetics because, we're always talking about, okay, foundationally, because we need to personalize health. We need to be strategic with how we're working with our patients. And so now we're getting into genetics because what we understand is obviously genetics play a very, very big role in our overall health. But we're looking specifically at the genes that are going to affect your weight and your metabolism and all of that. So just as a summary, our genetic pathways are going to basically drive how we detox, how inflammation, how we control inflammation in our body, oxidative stress, our hormone balance, how we manage our glucose and insulin levels, our brain and memory, our cardiovascular system and blood pressure. Some people can't control their blood pressure very well, whereas some people can do whatever they want and the blood pressure is stabilized. That's typically, genetics. Your energy, your metabolism, we hear this all the time that, she or he can eat whatever they want and they don't gain weight. And then, if I look at something, I gain weight, that's probably your genetics playing a role. Your appetite and satiety, exercise, listen, I'm a obsessive exerciser, but it's amazing what we have learned over the years, how exercise is so good on so many levels, but exercise for some people is not effective for weight loss. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then genetics is really how we are able to release fat stores, because we all have fat. When it becomes excessive, then it's a different type of fat. It's an inflammatory fat. And when it becomes inflammatory, it's stuck. It does not move. So that's why people have a really hard time losing weight. And this is where the genetics and learning that can really help that process a lot. So this particular slide, I know you can't see all of the specific details, but it's basically outlining all of those different pathways that I was talking about, detox and vascular health, et cetera. So what we see, so this would be an example of somebody's test. And if you look a little bit closer, if it's set, medium means you're not really impacted genetically in certain areas. High means genetics are playing a huge role in these certain pathways. And very high means, you have to really probably change the way you do things because you're not going to be able to accomplish certain goals as if someone with a low impact pathway would be able to. So I will explain that a little bit more. And I was gonna go through an analogy, but I'm not going to because I feel like I'm going to get really long-winded. But just remember that our genotype is we have certain variants in our genotype, and basically that can cause disruption in certain pathways, which make things a little more difficult for us. So I think it'll make more sense when I go to this slide. So on this particular, in our genetic test that we do, we can see how you are affected by your appetite satiety pathway. So basically, if you're very high on the appetite satiety pathway, that means that you may be someone who is hungry all of the time. Everybody experiences appetite and fullness very differently. And so this is a way for us to adjust certain things, knowing that you are someone who is going to have more hunger over someone else. Pro-inflammatory fats. So this is the ability to mobilize that stubborn fat. Energy expenditure has to do with your metabolism. So your genetics do play a role in your metabolism. So this particular person was high impact, meaning they're going to have a slower metabolism. And before I forget to mention, I want you all to understand this because this is very, very important. Our genetics are our genetics. Our genetics are not going to change. They may change if you would be alive for about 300 years, but they're not going to change in your lifetime. But what will change is gene expression, because genes are like a light switch. They turn on and off all of the time. So that's why we can manipulate what your genetics are. And that's why we, even with pushing all of these healthy lifestyle, healthy eatings, because that's going to turn on the healthy genes. So just because you have a high impact pathway for energy expenditure, meaning you don't have a good metabolism, that does not mean that you're doomed for life by any means. So always keep that in mind. And then there's another one for exercise response, how your body responds to exercise for burning fat. And then overall just weight gain and weight loss resistance. So obviously somebody who has high pathway resistance there, they would have a harder time losing weight. There's no doubt. But again, you're able to strategize with that. And then just briefly, activity more specifically, there are certain genes that put you more at risk for injury. We all know those people. I've been an athlete my whole life. I know those people. And it's sad because, it's not always, you always think, oh, that person, oh, they're always hurt. Are they faking? But genetically, you might just be more prone to that. And also for recovery, are you a person that needs more recovery? I always am amazed by people who do marathons like back to back. And I mean, I tried to do a half marathon, I think a month ago, and I was out for like a week after that because my body takes time to recover. So these are the really cool things that you can uncover if you know your genetics. And I'll just briefly go through this very busy slide, but this is getting into details about our food and our vitamins and our nutrients. Caffeine is huge. Everyone is drinking caffeine, not only coffee, but everything is full of caffeine, and we're taking those energy drinks, and it could be doing so much harm for some people, because if you have a high impact pathway for caffeine, that means you do not metabolize caffeine very well at all. So if you're someone like, I'm working with someone who has significant sleep issues, and putting all these pieces together, it's because that particular person drinks like 4 cups of coffee and 1 closer to the evening. Being a slow metabolizer, that's going to keep you up all night. Fatty acids are, again, another thing. So how your genetics play a role in how you utilize fats. Choline is a nutrient that is crucial for your brain, for your mood, for DNA replication. And if you're not utilizing that because of genetics, we have to replace that. Folate, etc. And then, more specifically, we can get into iron overload is another thing that we look at. Vitamin D, salt is a big one, because we're always working with patients on not only their blood pressure, but about fluid retention, inflammation in the body. And some people are fine adding salt to their food, but some people are so sensitive to salt. And it's obviously, for some, it's because of their genetics. So those were 2 main areas for really looking into, digging deeper. So if you are someone who is fed up and you really want, to kind of figure this all out, the roadmap is personalizing your own health goals. Knowing your genetics, you do a genetic test, you will never have to do it again. That's the really cool thing. Understanding your gut, the gut microbiome, and personalizing an ideal plan. So again, it is going to be about targeting that abnormal fat, identifying what the best exercise regimen is for you, because that could change, that's very individualistic. Being mindful, and the meditation, I can't say enough about that. looking into supplementation and being strategic about that, and really understanding how your body detoxes, because this is another big piece. And this is what the genetic test will tell you, is how well you do detox. Because if you're someone that doesn't detox well, you are going to have a very hard time losing weight and keeping it off. So just a brief side on if this did interest you, because I don't know, I always feel like if I'm interested in, other people are, and I've done like a zillion tests. But if this does, and you're like, oh, I want to do a test, should it be the gut? Should it be the genetic? The gut test is awesome for people who have significant digestive issues. If you have depression and anxiety, food sensitivities, that's a big one, sugar cravings, autoimmune, recurring infections, sinus infection, yeast infections, or if you have a lot of fluid retention or inflammation in the body. The genetic test, this was kind of hard for me when I was trying to pinpoint, like, if you were to choose one, but I would say weight loss resistance for sure. If you've tried everything and you can't seem to figure it out, if you are prone to injury and exercise, chronic fatigue, you gain weight when you exercise. We have a handful of people that happens to, and your sensitivity to certain environments. If you are sensitive in, stores that have a lot of fragrances, if you go to someone's house and you get symptomatic, that's probably because you're not detoxing very well. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our program details. So I talked about our HCG and our HCA, and I'm going to, go into a little more detail. But essentially, this is a very specific meal plan. Most of you know this. We always are trying to remind people that you have to be prepared to make changes. You have to plan and you have to think ahead, because we don't want people to just kind of, rely on willpower, go through a short fix, and then, gain the weight back shortly after that. So it is a whole mindful experience, and really asking yourself certain questions about what you like about it, what you don't like, because you don't have to like everything. You have to find and piece the things together that work for you as you're going through these programs. For our particular signature weight loss programs, the average weight loss for men is 4 to 6 pounds per week. That, of course, is vary. And for women, it's 2 to 5 pounds per week. So the really cool thing about our signature weight loss programs is that we actually can overcome the genetic predispositions for the fat mobilization. If you have excess body fat, that's inflammatory fat. So lowering your calories will not release that. So you have to be very strategic. And that's what our programs, that's what we've always wanted to accomplish, is getting, releasing those really abnormal fats. And those can be, obviously most people are familiar with the waistline, but it can be in your neck, it can be in your knees. So it's places where you're not typically used to having fat. They reset your metabolism and reset the set point. You have to reset your set point, because the body's like a thermostat. It's going to try to rebalance back to that temperature that you're comfortable at. So our programs will reset that. It resets your hunger signaling and rebalances your hormones. So what you can expect for this particular program is it is 100% virtual. So if anyone is interested in signing up at the end of this presentation, which we'll have a link to do that, you're just going to schedule a virtual assessment. And obviously then we're going to kind of take it from there. There's an optional integrated body composition home scale, which is really cool, because we are taking a lot of our programs virtually, and having that integrated body composition scale is huge, because it integrates in our app and we can see as if you would come into our office. We have cutting edge educational videos and 2 group calls with our weight loss experts. We have body metrics tracking and food logging through our app. And then after the program, we are also providing you with a 30-day post-program maintenance plan. So it's something you can follow after the program to really kind of keep you on track and better understanding, because you'll be restricting obviously during the program, and then what does more of the normal eating plan look like for maintenance. So this is just a snapshot of some of the educational resources that we would provide during the program. And, these are the majority are common things that, people have questions about. So I'm not going to read through all of them, but I would say the big ones are supplements, plateauing, serving sizes, and really, the mindfulness piece to all of this. So like I said, this is a 5-week program. You can absolutely sign up today. And like I said, the average weight loss is between 15 to 25 pounds for this particular program. You have the option for the integrated scale. Once you sign up for this, you're going to get an intake form, and it's going to ask you, specific questions. And so this is 100% online. So you don't have to come in for visits. If you know anybody that lives in different states, I mean, we're launching this to anyone. So that's a really cool thing, is that you don't have to be in Wisconsin. You can be anywhere and do these programs. So what we include in the program is you would start out with 1 week of preparation meal plans. So you'll get set up on our app and you'll receive all of that. And then after that, you'll do the 21 days of our signature weight loss. So you'll have the choice to do either HCG or HCA. So you're going to get all of our recipes, meal plans, educational videos, get set up on our app, participate in our weekly live sessions, and again, get our 30-day maintenance program. This is just a snapshot for those of you who have not seen our app, but it's pretty cool. There's so many delicious recipes, and this is where you would log your food. Here's all of our resources and anything else that you would need to support you through the process.